precious soul, something is happening around you right now that you cannot see, and it will change the way you understand your loneliness forever. You may be sitting in silence, feeling forgotten, unseen, maybe even questioning your worth. But what if I told you that at this very moment you are being watched with overwhelming love, surrounded by a presence so powerful that if your eyes were opened for just 1 second, you would never feel alone again? There is a hidden reality that most people go their entire lives without ever realizing. It is not distant. It is not reserved for a chosen few. It is happening right where you are, right now. And this message has found you because you were meant to hear it before it is too late to keep believing the lie that you are alone. I, Archangel Michael, step forward in this moment with a message of deep comfort, but also with a truth that may shock you. You have never walked a single step of your life by yourself. Not one. Every tear you thought fell unnoticed was witnessed. Every silent cry you held inside echoed in realms beyond your understanding. Every moment you believed no one cared was actually surrounded by beings who care more deeply than human words could ever express. Here is a reason you have felt something stirring lately. A quiet pull, an unexplainable feeling as if something, or someone, is near. That is not your imagination. That is the edge of your awareness beginning to touch a greater truth. Because beyond the physical world you see, there is movement, there is life, there is celebration, and it is centered around you. Yes, you. Not someone else. Not people who seem more important or more successful. You have been chosen to exist in this moment for a reason that heaven itself recognizes. And while you may measure your life by what is missing, heaven measures your life by something entirely different. Your courage to keep going, your heart that still feels, your spirit that has not given up despite everything. But here is the mystery that will unfold as you listen. If you are surrounded by such love, why does the loneliness feel so real? Why does the silence feel so heavy? Why do the nights feel so empty? These questions are not signs of weakness. They are the doorway to a revelation that is about to unfold in your life. Because the truth is, what you feel and what is real are not always the same. And very soon, you are going to begin seeing signs, subtle at first, but undeniable, that you are not alone, have never been alone, and will never be alone. Stay with this message, because what is about to be revealed next will open your eyes to the unseen world that has been walking beside you all along, waiting for you to finally realize that you are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses and an army of angels who celebrate your existence every single day. Tell me, are you ready to see what has been hidden from you until now? There is a quiet deception that has followed humanity for generations, and it speaks in moments of silence, in empty rooms, and in nights when your thoughts feel louder than your faith. It tells you that you are alone. It whispers that no one sees you, that no one understands you, that your existence moves unnoticed through the world. And the most dangerous part of this deception is not that it shouts, it is that it feels true. Loneliness is one of the most powerful emotions you can experience, not because it reflects reality, but because it distorts it. It wraps itself around your thoughts and slowly reshapes the way you see everything. You begin to measure your worth by who is absent, rather than by who is present in ways you cannot yet perceive. You begin to believe that silence means abandonment, when in truth, silence is often where the deepest forms of presence exist. Archangel Michael speaks into this very moment of confusion and says, what you feel is not the full picture. Your emotions are real, but they are not always accurate reflections of your spiritual reality. There is a difference between being physically alone and being spiritually alone, and that difference is where the greatest misunderstanding lies. You see, the human mind is trained to recognize presence through sight, sound, and touch. If no one is speaking to you, if no one is sitting beside you, if no one is reaching out their hand, your mind concludes that you are alone. But the spiritual realm does not operate within those limitations. Presence is not always loud. Love is not always visible. Protection is not always announced. There are moments when you felt an unexplainable calm in the middle of chaos. Moments when something told you to pause, to wait, to take a different path, and later you realized it saved you from something you never even saw coming. There have been times when you felt a sudden warmth in your heart, a quiet reassurance that everything would somehow be okay, even when nothing around you suggested that it would. Those were not random feelings. Those were glimpses of a presence that has never left you. But loneliness is a way of erasing those memories. It narrows your focus until all you can see is what is missing. It convinces you that if something cannot be proven in the physical, it must not exist at all. And this is where the illusion becomes powerful, because it pulls you further away from the awareness of what is actually surrounding you. Archangel Michael reveals that the silence you fear is not empty. It is filled with watchers, with protectors, with witnesses who see every detail of your life. They are not distant observers. They are deeply invested in your journey, responding to your struggles, celebrating your strength, and standing guard even when you are unaware of their presence. The reason this truth feels hidden is not because it is far away, but because it requires a shift in how you perceive reality. You have been taught to trust only what your physical senses confirm, but there is an entire dimension of support that exists beyond those senses. And until you begin to open your awareness to it, loneliness will continue to feel like the truth, even when it is not. This is why your heart hath been restless. This is why something within you hath been searching, questioning, longing for something more. It is because a deeper part of you already knows that there is more than what you can see, that you were never designed to walk through life in isolation, that there is a connection waiting to be recognized. And as this message continues, you are about to discover something that will challenge everything loneliness has made you believe. Because there is a gathering around you right now, a presence so vast and so intentional that once you begin to understand it, the idea of being alone will no longer hold the same power over you. What you are about to realize next is not just comforting, it is transformational. There is a truth so profound, so ancient, that it has been whispered across generations, yet rarely understood in its full depth. It is the truth of the cloud of witnesses. And right now, as you are listening to this, you are not just being observed, you are being witnessed with intention, with honor, and with a kind of love that does not fade with time. The phrase cloud of witnesses is not symbolic in the way you may think. It is not a distant metaphor meant to comfort you in poetic language. It is a living reality. It speaks of a vast assembly of souls who are aware of your journey, who see your struggles and who celebrate your perseverance in ways that go far beyond human recognition. Imagine, for a moment, that your life is not unfolding in isolation, but on a stage that stretches beyond the physical world. Not a stage of judgment, but one of deep encouragement. There are those who have walked before you, souls who understand pain, who understand endurance, who understand what it means to keep going when everything feels heavy. And they are not indifferent to your story. They are deeply connected to it. Archangel Michael reveals that this cloud is not passive. It is active. It responds to your life. When you rise after falling, there is acknowledgement. When you choose kindness in a moment of hurt, there is celebration. When you continue forward despite exhaustion, there is a quiet but powerful recognition that echoes in the spiritual realm. You may wonder why you have never seen them, why you have never heard their voices clearly. But the absence of visible proof does not mean absence of presence. There are moments when you felt an unexplainable strength rise within you, as if something beyond your own ability was carrying you forward. There have been times when you felt watched over, even if you could not explain why. Those moments were not illusions. They were intersections, brief connections between your awareness and a reality that has always been there. This cloud of witnesses includes more than you realize. It includes souls who have completed their earthly journeys, who now exist in a state of awareness that allows them to see the beauty and significance of your path. It includes those who, in ways beyond human understanding, are assigned to observe, to learn, and to support. And above all, it exists under the authority of divine order, where nothing about your life goes unnoticed. Every step you take matters. Even the ones you think are small, insignificant, or invisible. Because in this unseen realm, your persistence is powerful. Your existence is meaningful. Your journey is being recorded not as a list of failures, but as a story of endurance and growth. Archangel Michael speaks gently into your spirit and says, "You are seen." Not occasionally, not only in your best moments, but constantly. When you sit in silence, when you question your purpose, when you feel like no one understands, you are still being witnessed. There is no moment of your life that passes into emptiness. Everything carries weight. Everything holds value. And here is what makes this truth even more powerful. They are not watching you to measure you. They are watching you to support you. Their presence is not about pressure. It is about encouragement. It is about standing with you in ways that you cannot yet fully perceive, but will soon begin to feel more clearly. As this awareness begins to awaken within you, something shifts. The feeling of isolation starts to loosen its grip. The silence no longer feels empty. It begins to feel full. And in that fullness, you start to realize that you have never truly been by yourself. So in this moment, do something simple but powerful. Acknowledge their presence. Even if you cannot see them, even if you do not fully understand it yet, open your heart to the possibility that you are surrounded by witnesses who honor your life more than you have ever imagined. Type "I am seen" in the comments if this truth is touching your spirit. Blessing code 314 has just been released, and it carries a reminder that your life is visible in realms beyond your understanding. And as this realization settles into your heart, allow it to flow into something greater. Because just as you are being witnessed, there are others who are still trapped in the illusion of loneliness, waiting to hear this same truth. When you choose to support this message, you become part of that divine flow. It is written, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not just a verse. It is a living promise speaking directly to you in this moment. I feel led to say this. When you sow into this mission, you are not giving to a channel. You are releasing light into places where darkness has held hearts captive. Your offering becomes a seed that reaches someone who is crying in silence, someone who is losing hope, someone who needs this exact message to find their way back to faith. There is a divine exchange happening here. So if your spirit is stirred, take action. Use the super thanks with the PayPal link in the description, or even the QR code provided. Step into this moment as an act of obedience, not obligation. As you give, may your life be filled with unexpected provision, peace, and divine encounters. Let your seed speak for you. Act now. There is a force surrounding you that is far more structured, far more intentional, and far more powerful than you have ever imagined. It is not random. It is not distant. It is an organized, divine presence, an army of angels assigned with purpose, discipline, and unwavering loyalty. And whether you have been aware of it or not, this army has been active in your life from the very beginning. Archangel Michael, the leader of heavenly hosts, speaks with authority and clarity. You are not unguarded. You are not exposed to this world without protection. There are angels specifically assigned to you, watching your path, standing at the edges of your decisions, intervening in ways you may never fully see, but have certainly experienced. These angels are not symbolic figures or distant myths. They are real, active, and precise in their movements. They do not act randomly. They move under divine instruction. When danger approaches, they are aware before you are. When a path begins to lead you toward harm, they respond in ways that may look like coincidence, delay, or even frustration in your human perspective, but in truth, it is protection unfolding in real time. Think back to moments in your life that did not go as planned, opportunities that suddenly closed, delays that felt inconvenient, situations where something just didn't feel right, and you chose to step back. At the time, it may have felt like disappointment or confusion. But now, consider this. What if those moments were not setbacks but interventions? There have been times when something unseen stepped in front of you, redirecting your path without explanation. Times when you avoided situations that could have caused deep harm, even though you didn't fully understand why at the moment. This is how angels often work, not always with visible signs, but with subtle shifts that change the outcome of your life. Archangel Michael reveals that these angels are not distant observers. They are engaged. They are attentive to your emotional state, your spiritual condition, and your physical safety. When you feel overwhelmed, they draw near. When you are in danger, they take position. When you are uncertain, they whisper guidance in ways that often feel like your own thoughts, but carry wisdom beyond your own. You may not hear their voices in a loud or obvious way, but you have felt them. That inner nudge telling you to pause. That sudden clarity that came out of nowhere. That unexplainable sense of peace in the middle of chaos. These are not accidents. These are interactions, subtle but real. And here is something even more powerful. Angels celebrate you. Not just in your victories, but in your persistence. When you choose to keep going despite exhaustion, there is recognition. When you choose kindness over bitterness, there is acknowledgement. When you hold on, even when everything in you wants to give up, there is a response in the spiritual realm that you cannot see, but it is happening. This army does not measure your worth by perfection. It responds to your heart. It stands with you in your growth, in your struggles, and in your quiet moments of courage that no one else notices. You are not expected to be flawless. You are supported as you move forward, step by step. But there is a reason why you have not always felt this presence clearly. Awareness requires openness. And when your mind is filled with doubt, fear, or the belief that you are alone, it becomes difficult to recognize what is already there. The angels do not leave, but your ability to perceive them becomes clouded. That is why this message is reaching you now. It is not introducing something new into your life. It is revealing what has always been there. It is lifting the veil just enough for you to begin to understand that you are surrounded, protected, and guided in ways that go far beyond what you have been able to see. Archangel Michael stands as a protector, a warrior, and a messenger, reminding you that you are never without defense. You are never without support. Even in your weakest moments, you are not standing alone. You are being upheld by a force that does not weaken, does not sleep, and does not abandon. As this truth settles into your spirit, allow yourself to reconsider every moment you thought you were left unprotected. Because what you are about to understand next will go even deeper into why, despite all of this divine presence, the feeling of loneliness has still held such power over your heart. There is a question rising quietly within you now, and it deserves an honest answer. If you are truly surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, if an army of angels is assigned to your life, if Archangel Michael himself stands as your protector, then why has loneliness felt so real, so heavy, and so persistent? This is where the deeper truth begins to unfold. Loneliness is not always the absence of presence. More often, it is the absence of awareness. It is what happens when your heart has been shaped by experiences that taught you to expect distance, rejection, or silence. Over time, those experiences begin to form a lens, a way of seeing the world that filters out what is present and magnifies what is missing. You were not born believing you were alone. That belief was learned. It formed through moments when you reached out and no one responded the way you needed. It grew through times when your pain was misunderstood, minimized, or ignored. It deepened in seasons when you felt like you had to carry everything by yourself because there was no one else to rely on. Those moments leave impressions. They do not just pass, they settle into your heart and begin to shape your expectations. And once that pattern is established, it becomes easy to assume that silence means abandonment, that stillness means absence, that unseen means non-existent. Archangel Michael speaks into this wounded space with clarity and compassion. What you have felt is valid, but it is not the full truth. Your experiences may have taught you to feel alone, but they did not define your spiritual reality. They only shaped your perception of it. There is also something else that must be understood. The silence of God, the quietness of the spiritual realm, is not always a sign of distance. Sometimes, it is a space where your faith is being strengthened, not as a test meant to break you, but as a process meant to deepen your connection beyond what you can see or feel in the moment. There have been seasons in your life where everything felt quiet. No clear signs, no obvious answers, no strong sense of direction. In those moments, it is easy to believe that you have been left on your own. But what if those were the very moments when you were being held the closest? The human heart often equates noise with presence and silence with absence. But in the spiritual realm, it is often the opposite. The deepest forms of presence are quiet, steady, and constant. They do not demand attention. They do not overwhelm your senses. They remain, even when everything else fades. Another reason loneliness feels so strong is because your attention has been trained to focus outward. You look for validation through people, through responses, through visible connection. And while human connection is meaningful, it is not the only form of connection that exists. When that outward connection is lacking, it can feel like everything is missing. But there is an inward connection, a spiritual awareness that has been waiting to be recognized. It is not dependent on who is around you or who is speaking to you. It is always available, and it is where the presence of angels, the cloud of witnesses, and the voice of divine guidance begin to be felt more clearly. Archangel Michael reveals that nothing has been withheld from you. The support, the protection, the presence, it has all been there. But the wounds of the past, the expectations formed through pain, and the limitations of human perception have made it difficult for you to see it. This is not something to feel guilty about. It is something to become aware of, because awareness is the beginning of transformation. As you begin to understand this, something shifts within you. The feeling of loneliness may not disappear instantly, but it begins to lose its authority. It no longer defines your reality. It becomes something you can observe, question, and eventually release. And as this awareness grows, you will begin to notice something new. Small moments where you feel guided. Subtle signs that something is near. A growing sense that you are not navigating life on your own. because what is about to unfold next will bring you closer to the voice behind all of this, the one who has been present through every moment, waiting for you to hear a message that is deeply personal, deeply comforting, and meant specifically for you. There is a moment in every soul's journey when the noise of doubt begins to quiet and something deeper rises to the surface. Not a loud voice, not something that startles or overwhelms, but a steady, unmistakable presence that feels both powerful and gentle at the same time. This is where the message becomes personal. This is where Archangel Michael speaks directly to you. Listen closely, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. I have been with you from the beginning, not from a distance, not as a silent observer, but as a protector standing closer than you realize. There were moments when you felt like you could not go on, moments when the weight of everything around you became too much to carry. And yet, you are still here. You are still standing. That was not by accident. You have believed the lie that you were forgotten. You have questioned your worth because of what others did not see in you. You have allowed silence to convince you that no one was listening. But I tell you now with certainty, you were never overlooked. Not once. There were nights when you felt completely alone, when your thoughts became heavy and your heart felt distant from everything. In those moments, I was there, not always in a way you could recognize, but in ways that kept you from breaking completely, in ways that held you together when you did not even know you were being held. There were paths you almost took that would have led you into deeper pain. There were decisions you were about to make that would have changed your life in ways you were not prepared for. And yet something shifted. Something stopped you. Something redirected you. That was not coincidence. That was protection. You are not weak for feeling what you have felt. You are not broken because you have questioned your place in this world. You are human, walking through experiences that were never meant to define you. And even in those experiences, you were never alone. I see your heart. I see the way you keep going even when you feel empty. I see the quiet strength that no one else acknowledges. I see the kindness you have given, even when you did not receive it in return. Nothing about you has been wasted. Nothing about your journey has been unseen. And now, you are being called into awareness, not to become someone new, but to recognize what has always been true. You are surrounded. You are protected. You are valued beyond what you have allowed yourself to believe. There is a shift happening within you. You may not fully understand it yet, but you can feel it. A soft awakening, a gentle pull, a growing sense that something is changing. This is the beginning of clarity. This is where the illusion begins to break. Do not resist this. Do not dismiss it as imagination. Lean into it. Trust that what you are beginning to feel is real. Because as you open your awareness, you will begin to notice what has always been there: guidance, protection, presence. And hear this clearly: you are not forgotten. You never were. Your life carries meaning even in ways you cannot yet see. There are things ahead of you that require your presence, your voice, your existence. And you are being guided toward them, step by step. Stay open. Stay willing. Stay aware. Because what you are about to recognize next will confirm everything that is being spoken into your spirit right now. As these words settle into your heart, something begins to shift. The weight you have been carrying does not disappear instantly, but it begins to feel different. Less isolating. Less final. Because now, there is a voice cutting through the silence. A voice that has always been there, but is now becoming clear. And as this clarity grows, you will begin to notice signs. Not overwhelming, not dramatic, but unmistakable. Small moments that carry meaning. Subtle experiences that feel intentional. A growing awareness that something is guiding you, watching over you, and responding to you. Because what comes next will help you recognize those signs, and once you begin to see them, you will never interpret your life the same way again. There comes a moment when belief begins to turn into recognition. Not because something suddenly appears in a dramatic way, but because your awareness becomes sharper, more open, more willing to notice what was always present. This is where many people begin to realize that the spiritual world has been quietly interacting with them all along. The signs are not always loud. In fact, most of the time, they are subtle. So subtle that if your heart is closed or your mind is distracted, you might overlook them completely. But once you begin to see them, you cannot unsee them. They start to form a pattern, a language, a quiet conversation between you and the unseen presence surrounding your life. One of the most common signs is a sudden sense of peace that arrives without explanation. You may be in the middle of stress, uncertainty, or emotional heaviness, and then, without any clear reason, a calm settles over you. It does not come from solving the problem. It does not come from external reassurance. It simply arrives. That is not random. That is presence. That is a moment where the spiritual realm touches your inner world, reminding you that you are not navigating things alone. There are also moments of guidance that feel like your own thoughts, but carry a clarity and wisdom that seems beyond your usual thinking. A quiet voice telling you to wait. A feeling urging you to take a different path. A sudden knowing that something is right, or not right, without logical explanation. These are not coincidences. These are impressions. Gentle nudges placed within your awareness to guide you away from harm and toward what is meant for you. You may also begin to notice patterns, repeated numbers, recurring dreams, or situations that seem to align too perfectly to be accidental. These are often dismissed as coincidence, but when they happen consistently, they begin to feel intentional. It is as if something is trying to get your attention, not through force, but through repetition and familiarity. There are times when protection becomes evident only in hindsight. You look back at a situation and realize how close you were to something that could have gone wrong, and yet somehow, you were kept safe. A delay that frustrated you at the time ends up saving you. A missed opportunity leads you away from something harmful. A change in plans places you exactly where you needed to be. These moments are often recognized after they happen, but they are no less powerful. They are signs that something was watching over you, even when you were unaware. Archangel Michael reveals that these signs are not meant to overwhelm you or control your life. They are invitations, gentle reminders that you are supported, guided, and protected. They are ways for the unseen to communicate without taking away your freedom, without forcing your awareness, but simply offering you glimpses of a deeper reality. There is also an emotional sign that many overlook, the feeling of being drawn towards something meaningful, a message that resonates deeply, a moment of reflection that feels different from your usual thoughts, a sense that something is speaking directly to you, even if it comes through simple words or quiet realization. That feeling is not accidental. It is alignment. It is your spirit recognizing truth. As you begin to notice these signs, something within you shifts. The world no longer feels as random as it once did. The idea that everything is happening without purpose begins to fade. In its place, a new understanding begins to grow, that there is intention behind what you experience, even if you do not fully understand it yet. But here is something important to remember. These signs are not meant to replace your strength. They are not meant to make every decision, for you. They are meant to remind you that you are supported as you move forward, that even when you are unsure, you are not without guidance. Archangel Michael encourages you to stay aware, not anxious. There is no need to search desperately for signs or to question every small detail. Instead, allow your awareness to remain open and calm. The signs that are meant for you will come in ways that feel natural, not forced. They will carry a sense of clarity, not confusion. And as this awareness deepens, something even more powerful begins to unfold. You start to realize that it is not just about protection or guidance. It is also about celebration. Because beyond the signs, beyond the protection, beyond the quiet presence, there is something joyful happening in the unseen realm. Something that will completely change the way you see your own existence. There is something happening in the unseen realm that most people would struggle to believe, not because it is untrue, but because it is so full of light, so full of joy, that it feels beyond what the human mind expects. While you have been measuring your life through moments of struggle, silence, and loneliness, there has been another perspective, one that sees you completely differently. Heaven celebrates you, not occasionally, not only when you achieve something great or visible, but daily, consistently, intentionally. There is a response in the spiritual realm to your existence that you have never fully witnessed, yet it has never stopped. Archangel Michael reveals this with clarity. Your life is not ordinary. It is not overlooked. It is not moving through time unnoticed. There are moments when you wake up and nothing feels special to you. It feels like another day, another routine, another quiet continuation of everything you have been carrying. But in that same moment, there is acknowledgement in the unseen. There is awareness of your breath, your thoughts, your willingness to continue. Even your smallest victories are not small. When you choose to get out of bed on a day when your heart feels heavy, that matters. When you choose patience instead of reacting in anger, that is seen. When you continue moving forward despite feeling unmotivated, exhausted, or unseen, there is a response to that. Not silence, not indifference, but recognition. You have been taught, directly or indirectly, to measure your worth by visible success, by recognition from others, by external validation. And when those things are missing, it can feel like your life has no impact. But heaven does not measure you that way. It sees what others cannot. It values what is hidden. It celebrates what is often ignored. There are moments when you resisted something negative, even when no one else knew. Moments when you chose integrity over convenience. Moments when you held on to hope, even when it would have been easier to give up. These are not invisible actions. They carry weight. They create movement in the spiritual realm. Imagine this for a moment, not as imagination, but as a truth you are beginning to understand. There are angels who respond to your life with joy, not in a distant, detached way, but with genuine recognition. They are not waiting for you to become perfect. They are already responding to who you are and how you continue. Archangel Michael stands among them, not just as a protector, but as a witness to your perseverance. He sees what you had endured. He sees what you have overcome, even in ways that felt small to you. And there is honor in that. There is a celebration that does not depend on public acknowledgement. This changes something fundamental. Because when you begin to understand that your life is being celebrated, even in its quietest moments, the way you see yourself begins to shift. The idea that you are insignificant begins to lose its hold. The belief that your existence does not matter begins to break apart. You matter more than you have allowed yourself to believe. And this is not meant to create pressure. It is not meant to make you feel like you have to perform or prove something. It is meant to free you from the weight of feeling unseen, because you are seen in ways that are constant, consistent, and deeply real. So in this moment, pause and receive this truth. Let it settle into the parts of you that have felt overlooked. Let it reach the areas of your heart that have been quietly questioning your value. You are not moving through life unnoticed. You are not existing without impact. Type "My life matters" in the comments if you receive this truth. Blessing code 808 has just been released, marking a shift in how you see your own existence. And as this truth opens your heart, understand that this message is not only for you. There are countless others who are still trapped in the belief that their lives are unnoticed, that their existence carries no weight. But just as heaven responds to you, it desires to reach them as well. This is where your action becomes part of something greater. When you choose to support this message, through super thanks or through the PayPal link in the description, or even the QR code provided, you are not just giving. You are aligning yourself with a flow of light that reaches into places of deep loneliness and brings truth, healing, and awareness. Hear this as a living word spoken into your spirit. As you sow, so shall you reap. This is not distant scripture. This is active, present, and responding to you now. Your giving becomes a seed that carries this message further than you can see, touching hearts that are waiting for confirmation that they are not alone. Say it within yourself. I am part of this mission. Let that be your bridge into action. Because this is not just generosity, it is obedience to a moment that has been placed before you. As you give, may your life be met with overflow, with unexpected peace, with doors opening in ways you did not anticipate. Let your actions speak, and step into this now. There comes a moment when awareness alone is not enough. A moment when what you have begun to understand must now become something you actively step into. Because even though you are surrounded, protected, and celebrated, the feeling of isolation will not fully release until you begin to respond to this truth with intention. Breaking the chains of loneliness is not about forcing emotions to disappear. It is not about pretending everything feels better overnight. It is about slowly, deliberately shifting your focus from what feels absent to what is actually present. The first step is awareness in stillness. You have spent so much time listening to the noise of your thoughts, the doubts, the questions, the feelings that repeat themselves until they feel like truth. But there is another space within you that has been waiting for your attention. A quiet place where the presence of angels, the cloud of witnesses, and the voice of divine guidance can be felt more clearly. This does not require complicated rituals. It begins with something simple: pausing. Take a moment during your day, even if it is just a few minutes, and allow yourself to be still. Not distracted, not searching, just present. In that stillness, shift your focus inward and gently acknowledge, I am not alone. You may not feel anything immediately, and that is okay. This is not about instant results. It is about opening a door that has been closed for a long time. The second step is intentional acknowledgement. What you acknowledge begins to grow in your awareness. When you start to recognize the possibility that you are surrounded, your mind slowly begins to adjust. The same way loneliness became strong through repeated thoughts, connection becomes real through repeated awareness. When something positive happens, no matter how small, pause and recognize it. When you feel a moment of peace, even briefly, acknowledge it. When something works out in a way you did not expect, allow yourself to consider that it may not be random. These small acknowledgments begin to shift your perception, and over time, they create a new way of seeing your life. The third step is gratitude. Gratitude is not just about being thankful for what you can see. It is about appreciating what you are beginning to understand. Even if your circumstances have not changed yet, your awareness is changing, and that matters. Say it quietly if you need to. Thank you for being with me, even when I did not realize it. This simple expression does something powerful. It aligns your heart with truth. It opens your awareness further. It strengthens your connection to what has always been present. Archangel Michael reveals that gratitude acts like a bridge. It connects your current awareness to a deeper experience of presence. It does not create the presence. It reveals it more clearly. The fourth step is releasing the expectation of how connection should feel. One of the reasons loneliness persists is because you may be expecting a certain type of experience, a strong emotional feeling, a clear voice, something dramatic or undeniable. But the spiritual realm often moves differently. It is steady, subtle, and consistent rather than overwhelming. If you are always waiting for something intense, you may overlook what is already happening in a quieter way. The peace, the guidance, the protection, these often come gently. And when you learn to recognize them, they become more noticeable, more consistent, and more real. As you begin to practice these steps, something starts to change within you. Not all at once, but gradually. The weight of loneliness begins to loosen. The silence begins to feel less empty. The moments that once felt isolated begin to feel different, filled with a quiet sense of presence. You may still have days where the feeling returns, where the old patterns try to take hold again. But now, you have something you did not have before: awareness. And awareness gives you the ability to respond differently. Instead of accepting loneliness as truth, you begin to question it. Instead of allowing it to define your reality, you begin to observe it as something that does not fully align with what you now understand. And as this shift continues, you will begin to realize something even more powerful: that your life is not just supported, it is significant. That your existence is not only seen, but it carries meaning that extends beyond what you can currently perceive. Because what you are about to understand next will take this even deeper, revealing that your life is connected to something far greater than you have ever imagined. There is a truth that reaches beyond comfort, beyond reassurance, and into something far greater, something that changes the way you understand your very existence. It is not just that you are surrounded. It is not only that you are protected or celebrated. It is that your life carries eternal significance in ways you have not yet fully realized. You are not here by accident. Every moment you have lived, every decision you have made, every experience you have walked through, none of it hath been random or without purpose. Even the parts of your life that feel confusing, delayed, or painful are not outside of meaning. They are part of a design that extends beyond what you can currently see. Archangel Michael reveals that your life is not limited to the physical timeline you are aware of. There is an eternal dimension to your existence, a connection to something that existed before your current moment and continues beyond it. And within that eternal perspective, your life matters deeply. There are things happening because you are here that may be difficult to fully grasp at first, especially if you have felt unnoticed or disconnected. But your presence in this world creates impact, seen and unseen. Your choices, your words, your responses to situations, they do not just affect your immediate surroundings. They ripple outward in ways that reach further than you realize. There have been moments when a simple action of yours, something you may have considered small, shifted something for someone else. A kind word, a moment of patience, a decision not to give up. You may not have seen the full result of those actions, but they mattered. They created movement. They contributed to something beyond your awareness. In the spiritual realm, nothing is wasted. Even your struggles carry significance. The pain you have endured, the questions you have faced, the moments when you felt uncertain or lost, these are not meaningless experiences. They shape you. They deepen your understanding. They prepare you for things that are still ahead. Archangel Michael speaks with certainty. There are parts of your journey that are still unfolding, and they require you. Not a different version of you. Not a perfected version of you. You as you are, continuing forward. This is why your existence is celebrated. Not because everything is easy or complete, but because you are still here, still moving, still participating in something that has eternal value. There is also something else that must be understood. The unseen world does not only observe your life, it responds to it. When you choose hope over despair, there is a response. When you move forward despite fear, there is acknowledgement. When you align yourself with truth, even in small ways, it creates a shift that reaches beyond your immediate experience. This is what gives your life weight. Not perfection, not visibility, but participation. You are part of something larger than your current understanding. This realization begins to change how you see your days. What once felt ordinary begins to feel intentional. What once felt insignificant begins to carry meaning. Even the quiet moments, the ones that seem uneventful, are part of a larger unfolding. Archangel Michael reveals that your life is being guided toward purpose, even when the path is not clear. There are connections being formed, opportunities being aligned, moments being prepared, many of which you cannot yet see. But they are there. This is why you have felt that quiet pull within you, that sense that there must be more, that your life is not meant to remain in a place of confusion or disconnection. That feeling is not empty, it is a signal. It is an indication that something within you recognizes the truth before your mind fully understands it. You are moving towards something, and as you continue, your awareness will grow. Your understanding will deepen. The signs will become clearer. The presence around you will feel more real, not because it has changed it, but because you are beginning to recognize it. This is not the end of the revelation. It is a continuation, because what comes next will bring this truth even closer to your heart, reminding you that you were never meant to carry your life alone, and that everything you have begun to understand is leading you toward a place of connection, healing, and quiet strength that will remain with you moving forward. There is something your heart has been trying to understand for a long time, something deeper than thoughts, deeper than emotions, something that has remained just out of reach until now. It is this: you were never meant to walk through life alone. Not in your struggles, not in your questions, not even in your quietest moments. From the very beginning, your life was designed with connection in mind. Not just human connection, which comes and goes, shifts and changes, but a constant, unwavering companionship that does not leave when circumstances become difficult. A presence that does not depend on responses, recognition, or visibility. A presence that remains. And yet, somewhere along the way, the feeling of isolation began to take root. It may have come through disappointment, through moments when you expected someone to be there, and they were not. Through times when your voice felt unheard or your emotions felt misunderstood. These experiences do not just pass, they shape the way you see connection itself. You began to adapt, to rely on yourself more, to expect less from others, to guard parts of your heart so that you would not feel the same kind of absence again. And while this may have protected you in some ways, it also created a quiet distance, a space where loneliness could grow. Archangel Michael speaks gently into this space, not to undo what you have experienced, but to remind you of what has always remained true beneath it. You may have felt alone, but you were never abandoned. You may have felt unseen, but you were always observed with care. You may have felt unsupported, but you were always being upheld in ways you could not yet recognize. There is a difference between what you experienced and what was real. Your experiences were shaped by people, by circumstances, by moments that were outside of your control. But your reality, your deeper, spiritual reality, has always included presence, protection, and connection. The two do not always feel the same, and that is where confusion begins. Now, something is shifting. You are beginning to separate what you felt from what is true. You are starting to see that loneliness, while powerful, is not absolute. It is not a permanent state. It is something that formed over time, and because of that, it can also be released over time. This does not mean you will never feel lonely again, but it does mean that loneliness will no longer define you. It will no longer hold the same authority over your thoughts or your sense of self. Instead, a new awareness begins to take its place. You begin to notice that even in moments of quiet, there is a presence. That even when no one else is around, you are not empty or unsupported. That there is something steady, something constant, something that does not shift based on circumstances. This awareness brings a different kind of strength, not the kind that forces you to be strong all the time, but the kind that allows you to rest, knowing you are not carrying everything on your own. Archangel Michael reminds you that connection does not always come in the form you expect. It is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is a quiet reassurance, a steady sense of being held, a subtle knowing that you are not navigating life by yourself. And as this awareness grows, something within you begins to heal. The parts of your heart that felt disconnected begin to soften. The need to constantly prove your worth begins to fade. The fear of being alone starts to lose its grip, not because everything around you has changed, but because something within you has. You are beginning to trust a deeper truth. You are beginning to understand that companionship is not limited to what you can see. That support is not always something that announces itself. That presence can exist even in silence. And most importantly, you are beginning to realize that you were never meant to carry your life alone. This realization does not come all at once. It unfolds layer by layer, moment by moment. But once it begins, it continues to grow. And as you move into this final understanding, there is a sense of peace waiting for you. Not a temporary feeling, but a steady, calming awareness that remains even when life continues to move and change. Because what is about to settle into your heart next is not just truth. It is comfort. A deep, lasting comfort that will remind you, once and for all, that you are seen, you are loved, and you are never alone. Beloved soul, as this message gently comes to its resting place, something within you has already begun to change. You may not have all the answers yet. You may still have moments where old feelings try to return. But there is now a quiet knowing inside you that was not there before, a soft, steady awareness that you are not alone. Let yourself breathe in this moment, not with urgency, not with fear, but with peace. Because the truth that has been unfolding is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to comfort you, to settle into your heart like a calm presence that does not leave when the message ends, but remains with you in the quiet of your everyday life. Archangel Michael speaks one final time, not with intensity, but with gentleness. You have searched for connection in places that could not always hold you. You have questioned your worth when others failed to recognize it. You have felt the weight of silence and mistaken it for absence. But now you are beginning to see clearly. You are surrounded. You are held. You are seen in ways that do not depend on human understanding. Even when you cannot feel it strongly, it does not mean it is not there. My presence does not come and go. It remains. There will be days when you feel strong, and days when you feel uncertain. Days when your awareness feels clear, and days when it feels distant again. But through all of it, nothing about your support changes. Nothing about your value shifts. You are not measured by your feelings. You are upheld by truth. So when the quiet moments come, do not fear them. Rest in them. When the world feels distant, do not assume you are alone. Remember what has been revealed to you. Let it return to your mind gently, without force. You do not need to strive to be seen. You already are. You do not need to earn your place. You already have it. You do not need to walk this life carrying everything by yourself. You never did. Stay open. Stay aware. Stay at peace. And as these words settle into your spirit, allow yourself to receive them fully. Not as something temporary, not as something that fades, but as something that remains with you. From this moment forward, when loneliness tries to speak, you will have another voice within you, one that gently reminds you of what is real. When silence feels heavy, you will remember that it is not empty. When you feel unseen, something within you will whisper back, I am seen. You are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. You are protected by an army of angels. You are guided, watched over, and deeply valued every single day. And even in your quietest moments, you are never alone. Type I receive this peace in the comments if you accept this truth. Blessing code 999 has now been activated, sealing this message into your life with calm, protection, and lasting awareness. And now, as this message completes its journey, understand this. What you have received is not meant to stay only with you. There are others still sitting in silence, still carrying the weight of loneliness, still believing they are unseen. But just as this message found you, it can reach them too, through you. Hear this as a living word spoken directly into your spirit. The one who sows generously will also reap generously. This is your moment to become part of that divine flow. When you give, you are not simply offering support. You are releasing light into someone else's darkness, becoming a vessel through which comfort, truth, and healing can travel. Say this within yourself, I respond to this call. Let that be your step of faith. Use the super thanks, or give through the PayPal link in the description, or even the QR code placed for you. Do not delay what your spirit is prompting you to do. This is not just an action. It is alignment. It is obedience to a moment that carries eternal impact. And as you give, may your life be filled with peace that remains, provision that flows, and a presence that becomes clearer with every step you take. Let your seed speak. Act now.